A 5-step plan to generate $1 million in revenue for your business. I've spent over 10 years in B2B marketing. I've generated more than $1 million in LinkedIn ads pipeline alone. I've realized the painful truth. Most B2B strategies fail because of one reason. They are too complicated. In this video, I'll show you a simple, laid-back plan that I've developed throughout the years. You'll learn how to set the right goals and actually track them daily, weekly, and monthly. I'll share a 90-day go-to-market strategy, a simple media plan, the exact channels, and the team setup you'll need to make it work. Step 1 is the goals. This is where you align with your C-level on the revenue target. In our case, we discussed that this is going to be a revenue goal of $1 million in 12 months. Another important variable we need to know here is the assumed average deal size. So for us, let's say that it's $100,000. We work with an enterprise B2B SaaS. Now, there is a goal layer 2 that I usually set up because it's really hard to make long-term planning. Making a one-year marketing plan is almost impossible in current economy, in the crazy world. That's why it's more realistic to make a 6-month plan. In our case, what we need to do here is we need to close at least 5 customers in the first 6 months. We also need to know at least approximate conversion rate from the pipeline that we can potentially generate to deals. And this is typically about 5%. Which means that we need to generate a pipeline of around $10 million in the first 6 months. Remember that figure, we're gonna get back to that later. Now, what happens next? As soon as you know this revenue target, you make a simple or not so simple calculation in the next 6 months. And we know that we're going to have some costs that are close to $14,000. The costs include basically LinkedIn ads experts, some of the marketing toolkit, and the salaries. I'm going to be talking about why it is only LinkedIn ads in the final step. And we know that the most realistic budget for us to have monthly is about $25,000. It's actually not that much. It's about $833 per day. And for complex B2B businesses, it's actually realistic. And now we also remember that we want to be closing around 5 customers in the first 6 months. So there are certain things that we can impact in this calculation, and these are all the conversion rates. So from leads to SQL, which actually stands for sales qualified lead, and then our conversion from SQL to closed won. And we also need to sort of have the reality check because we need to make sure that the conversion from the lead to actual closed won is from 1 to 3% because normally it's never bigger than that. And now what we do is if we have some historical data, this is perfect. So maybe we know that our typical conversion from leads to SQL is from 18 to 30%. And basically, we have an assumption that with each and every month, we're going to be working on our brand campaigns, on our content assets, and this conversion will be only increasing. And we are also aiming to at least keep this same rate of conversion from sales qualified lead to close won. Of course, we also take into account our average deal size. And we also estimated that realistically, we want to be getting at least 56 leads every month. We are not a well-known brand yet, so we just made this assumption. Now, this plan is not set in stone, and that's why you should be tracking your goals daily and weekly. And then you're going to see what's your run rate, whether you're going to hit your KPIs, and based on that, make the projections for the following month. For example, I usually follow a business report like this. The idea here is that the plan numbers are filled from your initial calculations for each month, and the fact numbers are automatically taken from your CRM system or from your paid ads channel if it's, for example, the only channel that you're using. And automatically we have the calculation in terms of how we're going to reach our target. As you can see, specifically for this month, we're going to be somewhat okay in terms of the costs. We're also going to hit our lead targets at almost 100%, but we're not doing great when it comes to the number of the desired SQLs. And as you can see, the conversion is not as good as we projected. And based on that, we can make certain hypotheses on how exactly we should improve it next month, or probably we need to change the projections. Most likely, this low conversion from lead to SQL is caused by the fact that we are using the wrong targeting channels, the wrong audiences. Let's say if we use LinkedIn ads, or the sales team is not following up with our leads as we want. Before we move on to the next step, I want to make a really important point. I strongly recommend that any brand starts growing their email list as early as possible. In the long run, email will become one of your most powerful sales and upselling channels. And a tool that I found to help you do this right is OmniSend, which is kindly sponsoring this video. For every $1 spent, OmniSend customers get back an average of $68. That's one of the highest ROIs in marketing. And automations is actually where the magic happens. They drive 37% of all email sales according to OmniSend. B2B brands can use it, for example, for welcome sequences or webinar reminders. So if you want your B2B marketing plan to actually convert for years to come, start with email and start with OmniSend. The tool is trusted by 150,000 businesses worldwide. Use my special link in the description and pinned comment to get a 30% discount. Funnel. You have to clearly define together with your sales team, together with your management, what are the actual funnel stages. I recommend to not overcomplicate that for early stages B2B startups. I think it should be just leads, qualified leads, in other words, your pipeline, and deals closed. As simple as that. Remember to have it documented and make sure that everyone has exactly the same understanding of what each stage actually means. This step is also crucial to clearly making sure you're aligned on your business model in general. For example, whether you have a free trial or whether your leads just have to book a demo and then speak to the sales team directly. For the sake of this example, let's just assume we're working with a B2B brand with a enterprise kind of level that is purely sales led, which means that as soon as demo has been booked, it's up to the sales team to make sure a deal gets closed. The next step is your audience. This should be one of the major things that marketers should be doing whenever they join a B2B company, any company in general. You should be listening to all of your sales calls, digging deeper into what kind of notes you have on your customers in general, joining your customer success calls, finding any possible way to have a clear understanding on who you actually target. I usually use this exact framework where in part one, I get to understand the background and the context. This is the place to ask questions like where exactly they work, what kind of role they have, and what are the main challenges that prevent them from reaching their goals. The second part is to understand the actual use and impact of the tool. So that's a perfect space to actually understand that now that they're using this product, what are they able to do that they weren't before? Trust me, this is an excellent answer to just snap on your landing page copy, because this is exactly hitting your customer pain points. You can also ask what's the number one problem that the product solves for them. And a question that I love asking is, now that you're using this product, have you stopped doing something else? The third part is to understand the process before they started using your tool. For example, let's say you're selling, an email marketing tool, right? So maybe you can ask how they actually run customer communications or how they sent webinar invites before and what exactly made them look for something different. Part 4 is where you understand the buying process. So who actually participated in the decision making and what was the role of the person that you're speaking to. The final part is to understand how they actually spend their time online, right? If we work, say, with chief technical officers, they mainly hang out on Reddit, whereas marketers do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. Of course, you can find stuff like that by running your own research, by using AI, but the best information comes from your customers. Go-to-market plan. For the majority of B2B businesses, early stage startups, especially with long sales cycles, the most winning go-to-market strategy is account based marketing together with content marketing. And the key channels are just these two: LinkedIn ads and organic content. Now, let me elaborate. Let's break down the plan into a 90-day sprint, or however you want to call it. So during your first and second week, obviously there is a lot of onboarding. That's where you get to refine your ICP using the questionnaire that I listed earlier. And together with your sales team, you build your tier 1 list. It's basically identifying at least 200 target accounts, and that's also the space for you to align on your goals together with the sales team. Now, remember, our target was to close at least 5 customers in the first 6 months. And if we build this list of 200 target accounts, closing 5 customers is more than doable. The main idea is to align both marketing and sales to actually target the exact same users. During the weeks 3 to 4, that's where you get to set up all the tech stack. That's where you actually start kicking off your LinkedIn ad strategy and content marketing strategy. So you're preparing, the actual ad copy, ad assets, budgeting, probably getting some extra pair of help for that. And I'm going to elaborate on that at the final step when I talk about the team. And same with content marketing. That's the place for you to run SEO research and to identify the content pieces that you should be creating. During the weeks from 5 to 9, you actually are confident to launch your ABM campaign and your LinkedIn ads campaign. And the idea is that your sales team targets these 200 accounts that you build together through targeted email and LinkedIn outreach. And you, as a marketer, in parallel, run a 2-layer LinkedIn ad strategy that I'll show you in a sec, using this exact same list. And this all gets supported by the organic content that you are creating, so that your accounts get reached from at least 7 different touch points, because this is the gold standard. And during weeks from 9 to 12, that's where you are more ready to produce more content in volume. You've created at least from 10 to 20 different blog assets and organic content on social. And that was also the time for you to run some ABM campaign and to actually analyze together with your sales team on win and loss analysis to actually be able to understand whether you were able to generate the desired pipeline, because it's been 3 months. So based on that, you can see whether actually generating a pipeline of $10 million within 6 months would be doable for you, or probably you should pivot and then target a slightly different audience. The success metrics by day 90 are as simple as that. Target accounts engaged, so in our case, it's 200, pipeline generated, whether we are going to be reaching 10 million, and the number of enterprise deals closed and generated revenue. Execution. Now, let's talk about what you do with LinkedIn ads, content marketing, and what kind of team you actually need. I suggest an extremely simple framework for your LinkedIn ads. You've probably seen that it should be layered into 3 things, such as top of the funnel, mid of the funnel, and then bottom of the funnel. However, I've done this mistake in the past where I was too granular for small B2B businesses, and there is no need for that. Given that you should be using at least 80% on top of the funnel ads, and then obviously 20% on top of the funnel ads, and you only have a budget of about $25,000 per month, you kind of only have space for 2 layers to run at the same time. Now, then what you should do is, let's say that you've identified 2 different buyers or ideal customer profiles for you. In top of the funnel, then I would run 4 different formats for each of the buyers, where TLA stands for thought leader ads. You can see examples here. This has been the most winning format so far in terms of click-through rates. I've seen click-through rates of more than 10% in ads like that, because they look authentic, because it's simply you promoting content from a real human being. Whereas image ads or video ads get on average from, I would say, 1 to 3% in terms of CTR. But still, you should be experimenting with a bunch of image, video, and lead gen ads. It could be, for example, a downloadable ebook or some latest research that you've run. You do exactly the same for the second buyer. When it comes to bottom of the funnel, you target this exact same audience. However, you only retarget them, given that they've already visited your website. They are somewhat familiar to you. For this layer, I would only go with image and video ads and keep on experimenting using the template that I've attached here to identify the most winning formats for you. And since you are quite limited on resources, I suggest that you only run experiments for the acquisition level, so top of the funnel, and you only run them for the most sort of meaningful things. For example, you can experiment with comparing video ads versus static banners, or maybe you can try meme style ads on LinkedIn compared to, polished corporate ads and see what works best for your audience. Why do you actually need content? Simply put, at some point, you're going to face quite high customer acquisition cost if you just rely on paid ads, and you need to balance it off with something relatively free. As simple as that. Plus, content is the best brand builder ever. Now, I know we live in the world of AI, and many people believe that large language models will soon take over Google search results, but I still recommend running both SEO and ARO or GEO research. Now, the reason is simple. You want to build your content machine so that it ranks not only on Google organically, but also within different LLMs. So when it comes to SEO, here's what you should do. Start by selecting your top 2 competitors, then use software like SEMrush to analyze how you rank against them. Most likely you're just starting out, so you'll find yourself ranking much lower. Now, your main goal should be to build an SEO content pillar strategy around the keywords that matter most to your niche. Let's say you work in climate tech. In that case, most likely your focus should be something like climate risk software. As for the KPIs, you aim to grow your organic traffic from your current baseline. Let's say it could be, 300 visitors monthly to the desired traffic levels. Ideally, within 3 months. Look at the monthly traffic that your competitors are getting and set that as your benchmark. Make sure that you hire an SEO-friendly content creator who can then help you with actually delivering on all of your keywords and content ideas. Now, your next step is obviously to analyze where your company is currently being mentioned across different LLMs, for example, ChatGPT. I actually came across this incredible prompt somewhere on LinkedIn. It's super useful. You simply insert it into ChatGPT, replace the placeholder with your brand's name, and it generates your sort of LLM mentions score. On top of that, it gives you specific suggestions and prompts on where you're not yet ranking, but your competitors are. Now, the actual team, a small team, I promise, that you need to make it all happen and how much it can actually cost you. I suggest that you should obviously get a growth lead. They may cost completely different, of course, depending on the location. I've added here quite a broad range from $50 to $150K per month. LinkedIn Ads Expert for the actual implementation, the strategy. You only agree on the actual messaging, you approve the assets, and they do the rest. Trust me, it saves a lot of time for you to actually work on the rest, such as your ABM campaigns, analytics, goal setting, and general marketing reporting. Again, cost can vary a lot, but I would say a range from $1,500 to $3,000 per month is more than doable. A designer for designing all of your, banners and whatnot. I think you can find a reasonable designer for about $8 per hour on Upwork. One SDR should be more than enough for the actual outreach and follow-ups for demo scheduling. Again, the budget can vary a lot, but this is a range that I think is doable. A web developer that you can just hire on Upwork for building on landing pages and maintaining your simple website. I think you can find someone decent for about $50 per hour. And obviously a content writer, you don't need to hire someone in-house at this point. A freelancer can cost also, I would say, from 1,000 to 3,000 monthly. Remember to subscribe to this channel for more B2B marketing tips. And for some reason, YouTube suggests that this video is super interesting and relevant to you. So continue watching.